Hello, YouTubers. Part 2. This is Jerry. Nice to talk to you again. My first video was a little, slow. Of course, it's my first video. Talking your testimony, I thought would be a little easier than it has been, actually. I watch so many of you do it out there, Shananaya and Sister Catherine and Mama Dang. You guys make it seem so simple. It's anything but. If anyone out there has done videos and just starting to, I'm sure you understand what I mean. Even just anyone altogether, it seems to me that it's not as easy putting yourself out there kind of for the world to see, no matter what it is that they see. But, we are who we are, and put it out there. Silver platter, here it is. Accept me for what I am, or don't accept me at all. Isn't that how Christ did it? I mean, I'm not to speak for him. I am just a man. But I'll kind of tell you the second time, or the very first, totally memorable time. Just unbelievable without words for me. As in my first testimony, I talked about how I sat on the edge of a bed when I was 5 and I prayed for death. Well, the voice that shook me that day came to me again when I was 7. I had gotten into some trouble at home. I scratched my dad's brand new painted van. He just spent a couple $1,000s on it. Back in that time, that was quite a bit of money. And so I was grounded, and the family was going to a fair called Nickel Days in this little mining town that we lived in. I had previously mentioned. So they had gone, and I was stuck in my room. My uncle was babysitting me. But the night before that, I had a dream. And in this dream, the same voice that came to me as I sat at the edge of the bed spoke to me and gave me instruction, told me to run away. So when I had woken that day, I didn't think anything of it. Honestly, I just went along my day. And then when my family went to the fair, I sat in my room, of course, crying, not knowing, what am I going to do here? Because why should I stay back? Blah, blah, blah. But, you're a kid. You don't think you're being punished for a good reason. And then my dream came back to me. And in this dream, it described details on how to slide my window open and everything. So I climbed out my window and grabbed my little red bike and pedaled off to my friends. Now, I had a really good friend back then by the name of Chris. This guy was so cool. He had a heart of a lion, and I don't know, he had so much energy in life. It was amazing. He had gone through quite a bit for himself as well. He actually had to wear braces all the time because he had fallen out of a tree. Him and his dad were flying a kite. A kite had got stuck in the tree. Long story short about his dad wasn't a very nice person. I won't get into who he is, maybe later on in the future. But Chris had crawled halfway up the tree, and he was afraid of heights, didn't want to go anymore, and his dad was egging him on, started throwing rocks at him. Just kind of, not hard or anything, but just to kind of egg him on. Come on, you big baby, that kind of stuff. Chris told me all about it. He fell out of the tree and fell into the splits, and pulled everything in his legs. So he had to wear these braces all the time to heal. So I went and picked him up, and he got on his bike and went and picked up another friend of ours named Simon and 2 others. So the 5 of us go to the fairgrounds, or as we're going to the fairgrounds, thought we're all smart because they knew I was grounded. We had sent Simon ahead. We stayed out in the outer field, and we sent Simon ahead into the fairgrounds to see if my parents were still there. Well, my dad recognized them right away, said hi, told them that I was grounded, and so Simon said, yeah, thank you, everything, and left. Come back to us, told us. He says, we can't go there, you're dead. They see me right away. Well, in my dream, I was told to go to a place called the Old Spanish Fort. This was a treehouse that was built by a bunch of teenagers, 2 stories tall, in the middle of the bush in Thompson, Manitoba. And here we are, a bunch of kids, 7 and 8, 5 of us, just looking for something to do. Since I was grounded, I suggested it. I don't know, I thought it was good idea, right? So here we go, we pedal across this big large field and we get to the edge of the forest. And there's a dirt road and it takes you down into the forest where this tree fort is. Well, that spring there had been a flood and it washed out the road. There was like not a crevice, but an embankment that went down about 8 feet, and the whole thing was about 10 feet wide. There was a little creek in the middle because the water had dissipated. So we put our bikes on one side and we walked over the other side, and we're looking up this tree house, and as kids we're all amazed because this is the teenagers thing. We're not supposed to be here. But since the road was washed out, we thought it was safe. So there's this rope ladder that goes up to the top, and we're kind of bugging each other. Who's gonna do it? Who's gonna do it? Chris was out of the picture because of his braces, of course. So of course I had to volunteer. I just wanted to see what was up there. I just had to see what was up there. So I climb up this ladder and I get to the top, and I realize that it's this flat platform. There's nothing to grab onto to pull yourself off the ladder. Well, you're a kid, you're determined. So I crawl up there anyway. I get up there and I look up. It's like this room. It's got a roof and everything. And there's like this bed at the back of it. And at the back of that, there's this star. And the only reason why I knew that it was a star is because I had seen it on a Bible. Well, I had, looked at the place, thought it was neat. Go to the edge to talk to my friends and yell to them, come up. Who's going to come up? You got to see this. You got to see this. None of them wanted to come up. They're all scared. Of course, we're kids. So I decide I'm going to come down, and I go to get down, and I have to kneel on this platform flat and swing my legs over, put them on the ladder, and climb down. The ladder was made of rope. So I put my foot on the first rung, and the rope snaps, and the ladder hit the ground. I kind of scramble up because I'm starting to kind of slip a little bit. So I get up onto the platform and I turn around. I'm like, what am I going to do? I yell down there to my friends, throw the ladder up, throw the ladder up. Well, of course, we're just kids. None of them could throw a ladder up 2 stories. But, we tried. So I'm sitting up there screaming to them. They're trying. It ain't working. We're not doing anything. So I start yelling down to them, go get help. And they're like, we're going to get in trouble. And I'm like, I don't care. Go get help. I'm stuck up here. Well, Simon and his 2 friends didn't want no part of it. They didn't want to get in trouble. They didn't want nothing to do with it. So they got on their bikes and they took off. Well, Chris, being my best friend, he stuck around. He didn't want to go get help either, though, because he didn't want to get into trouble. His dad was mean. Well, I shouldn't say mean, but at the time seemed very mean. So Chris had come up with the idea to go get his older sister. She could help me down. So that was a great idea. So I send him off. And I'm sitting up there with my back to this fort that was nicknamed the Old Spanish Fort. I'm staring out at the horizon, and it's high up. You can see everything. And I remember that day was like cloudy and rainy, and it was spitting off and on. It was kind of a gross day. And I'm staring out at the horizon, and I'm starting to cry. I'm a 7-year-old kid. I'm thinking to myself, why? What am I doing here? And I remember praying out loud, God, why am I here? Why would you bring me here? And then that voice was like a booming whisper. And the back behind me lit up like the sun. A brilliant light, so bright I wasn't looking at the fort. I was looking out at the bush, and it was brighter behind me than it was in front of me. And this booming voice said, Jerry, I am here. I am with you. I have always been with you. You have nothing to fear. And at that second, this feeling of love and joy and peace came over me that's just indescribable in the words that are written in man's hand. There was more spoken after that. Told me a story. And I can't explain to you what was said because those are for my ears only. But at the end of what was spoken, I had asked the Father, Can I look upon you? Can I see you? And he said to me, You can look, but you won't understand what you are seeing. I had to look. I mean, curiosity of a child. This is God. Like, this. I have to look. That's how it felt. I was compelled. So I turned around, and as I turned around, all I seen was this brilliant, beautiful smile of a face adorned in light, like just pure light. I don't even know how to explain it. And love and joy. But at the second that I had turned around, the light had already started to fade. And I got the feeling that if I had stared upon him in full brilliance, I'd be blind. But as the light faded, he left. But he didn't really leave at all. He's always been with me my whole life, right by my side. And ever since that day, I had no fear. There is much testimony to come, and you will see how I had no fear in my life. I walked, I don't even know the word for it, in the love of God. I love God so much, and Jesus Christ, that this is, I don't know, fear wasn't part of my life. And I thank him from that every day. He's brought me through many trials and tribulations. He's made me who I am today. Without him, I'd be nothing. Many more ways than one. But after he had left, or gone away, I stood up and I looked around at this tree fort and what this tree fort was built on. I had actually hung my head over the side and looked that it was built with 4 trees, and all these trees had all the branches and everything knocked off so nobody could climb up that way. Well, I swung my feet around and grabbed onto the tree and I crawled down. I don't even remember how I did it. I just remember swinging my feet over and being on the ground. So I got on my bike, or I had walked across the little creek and got up the embankment. I got on my bike and pedaled my butt home. Well, long story short, Chris went home to go see his sister, and his dad had forgotten his keys, and well, kind of got in trouble for that because everybody found out that I was gone. My parents went to go look for me at the old Spanish Fort. I wasn't there. I was at home. Chris didn't know where I was. It was a big fandangle, but it was something I'll never forget as long as I live. In fact, it helped define who I am today, and I just wanted to share that with you. And as my testimony continues, and I hope that I get more. I hope I get better at doing these videos and speaking, because I haven't spoken in a very long time. I've kept myself from a lot of people and a lot of things. And for that, I am sorry. I say sorry to the Father. I apologize for that. And I love him, and I love life, and I love everything that he's given us, and I want everyone to know that, and I want everyone to know that they can have that too. Anytime they ask, all they gotta do is ask. Just open your heart. Well, I love you all. I love those that love the Father. Love those that don't love the Father, because he loves us all. Thank you, and I'll talk to you soon.